Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's video. This is the second video in our series of creating a self-hosted environment. If you were following us from our first video, that was just an overview of what we're looking to accomplish. In today's video, we're going to be focusing on the pfSense router. As I said in that first video, we're not showing how to install pfSense. It's pretty straightforward and there are a lot of videos on that. If there's enough interest on how to do that, we have no problem creating a video, but that's not the point of today's video. Today we'll be showing, after you install pfSense from a default state, some of the best practices that we implement on environments when we either hand them over to clients or when we manage it for them. I'm sure that we will see comments in the videos about other things you can do, and they are likely valid. And if there's enough interest, we can definitely look at covering those topics. But today will be a little more of a summary, and everything that we do with the environment afterwards. So when we start doing the other things in the tree, the expectation is that you've done whatever's in this video first. Also, we will be posting this document as well for people to follow as we move through the video series. It is designed to be complementary of the videos that we will be releasing. With that being said, this is what you saw in the first video, which was the tree of what we're looking to accomplish. This is the different tools that, as of the launch of this video series, we're looking to get through. If there's enough interest, we may add other things to this tree, but this is as of today. What you didn't see in that first video was the first set of steps that we're going to do, which is what we're doing on pfSense. So just to cover it here, we are going to want to turn on SSH on our pfSense router. And this would be because the main reason for that is because CrowdSec, which is the second step here for security, is not a package that is currently available on pfSense repositories. CrowdSec is looking to have that included, but as of the writing of this video, that's still not the case. We will be showing best practices for the backups, the auto configuration for that, setting up HTTPS, changing the outbound NAT practices, and the configuration of the System DNS. So, with that being said, we will go ahead and dive straight in. Let me go ahead and bring up the UI here. Okay. So this is, I'm just going to move this to the side here. Give me a second here. This is a generic pfSense router. The only thing we've really done is add some interfaces before we started this video. Created a subnet, gave it the router IP, had it connect to the internet. As you can see, the current time is today. The uptime is only an hour. It's really just an install and that's it. So this is what your pfSense would look like once you have finished the installation. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and go in to enable SSH. All right, so in order for us to do that, we're going to go to System, and we're going to go to Advanced. And then under Admin Access, we're going to scroll down to where it says Secure Shell Server. We're going to enable that. Now, by default, it does password or public key. Our best practice is we like to do public key only. If you don't know how to do that, again, there are videos how to do that. We have one posted as well. If there's any questions, please let us know. We're more than happy to sort that out. This takes out the ability for anyone to try to guess passwords to get in, and you can add multiple keys. So let me show you how we add a key in here. So let's go ahead and save this first. Okay, so that's saved. Now we're going to go to Systems, User Manager. Oh, it logged me out. Make sure it took what I did. Yes, I did. Okay. So if we go to System User Manager, as you can see, we only have one user right now, but if you have multiple people logging in, they would all have an account, of course. We're going to click on Edit, and we're going to scroll down here to where it says Authorized SSH Keys. And this is where you would paste all of the keys for the users that would log into that account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in one of my public keys for testing. And if you have any questions about that, one of the advantages with SSH keys is without the private key, which is what I have, and I won't be showing that on here, no one else can really log on to this box. They would need my private key, and it doesn't require a password. So that's been saved. We're good to go there. Okay, so now that that's done, now I'm going to go ahead and try to log in. So let me bring up my terminal session, and I'm going to get rid of this for a second, and there we go. So this is my terminal. That's that's the public key I decided to use. So I'm going to go ahead and log on to that router. All right, and if you saw, let me just go right here. This is the IP that I decided to use. Now you can use whatever you want, but this is what I'm using for this router. Okay. So I'm going to go SSH root at, which is the user of this router, at 10.10.110.16. Press enter. Looks like I've used this before, so let me get rid of this. So you can ignore this part here. Okay, I'm going to clear the screen here again, and let's do, okay. And it's asking me now, because I got rid of the fingerprint of the router, if I want to accept it, I'm going to go ahead and do yes. It will only ever ask you this once. And then we're going logged in. As you can see, it didn't ask you for a password. Why? Because it has my key. Okay. And again, I'll put a link on here to the video that we did about creating SSH keys. But there are dozens of them out there that you can definitely look at if you have any questions about that. And if you have any questions after that, please post them in the comments. I have no problem trying to answer them for you. I'll do the best I can. So now that I'm in the console, I need to actually drop down to the shell, which is number 8. So I'm going to do number 8. And now we are in the router's shell. And I'm just going to bring up my notes here. So actually, before I bring up my notes, let me show you guys the reference document from CrowdSec. Now, if you have any questions about what CrowdSec is, it's a security application. It doesn't just go on routers. You can put it on Linux machines. I think they have a Windows component. I've just never used it. And it's very good at detecting various types of intrusion and blocking them. And it doesn't just use its own, it doesn't just look at your logs to see who's trying. It will also look at, as the name implies, a crowd type of environment that they have where other users submit automatically using CrowdSec other IPs that are suspect to a repository that you also get to leverage from. So through a crowdsourcing of sorts, which is I guess where they got their name, you're able to benefit from that wider community. This is something that you really don't find on routers that are off the shelf unless you get into the enterprise level, and it's very expensive. So this is I guess we can say a poor man's way of doing it, but it can actually be more effective than a lot of those enterprise solutions, because this is being hit constantly by these malicious IPs against a wide variety of other users, and you're benefiting from it, and you're also providing that information for others as well. So it's a very powerful tool. You can follow these instructions. Again, it's very straightforward. I cheated a little bit and I did my notes. So you're going to see me copy and paste it, but it is essentially everything that you're seeing in here, I just copy and pasted. Okay. Obviously I made some changes, and those changes are, for example, here where it says link to ABSEIL. That's on this page here. I just copied and pasted those links here. All right. The idea will be that eventually, and they put that note in here, they've submitted the packages for inclusion into the official repository, but that has not been done as of this video. All right, so back to the terminal session, and I'm just going to make this a full screen here. So first thing we have to do is this first command here, and we're going to ignore. Perfect. And then again, I'm copying and pasting all the packages that we need to install. Now, as you'll see, as these are being installed, it may say to you, restart certain services. Don't do that. It'll be done automatically. See here, right here, it says to activate the bouncer. I have to run this. We're not going to do that. And we're going to let that finish installing. And the last one, I'm going to press enter there. Okay, so that's it. It's installed. And like I said, don't worry about restarting services from the command line. That's the only thing we're going to do on the command line. So let me get rid of this. And let's go back to our UI session here. Okay. So I'm going to refresh the screen here. And now I'm going to go to services. And you see CrowdSec installed now. Okay. And this is very straightforward. Okay. And enabled it automatically on its own, which is great. My advice is to leave the local API. You can connect this into a central API. The reason why we don't opt to do that is, again, with most clients and even with our own environment, you're a smaller shop, you may not have high availability for those LIPI environments. You don't want to be relying on that. You'd rather just have your pfSense router doing this work for you, and if it's doing it for itself, then you don't need to worry about doing a lot of processing. Okay, so we'll leave that as is. And again, if you're more familiar with CrowdSec and you want to send this to a central server of your own, this is where you would change those settings. Again, that is up to you, but that's not what we're doing in this video. The other thing that we like to do is down here under the log, we like to turn it on and we like to tag it. And the reason why we do that is when you're looking at the logs on pfSense, you want to know if any firewall rules are created because of CrowdSec versus, one of the other IT staff or even the system itself. Okay, so we enable logging and we do the tagging, and then it's your choice if you want to inbound and outbound. Inbound's the more dangerous one, so I'm just leaving it there, but you can choose either or. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and click on save. And we'll give that a moment. And there we go. So it applied it. So now it is working. And one way you can check that is if you go to diagnostics, status, CrowdSec status, under decisions, you'll see, or alerts, you'll see any IPs that were blocked, and it'll tell you because of which bouncer. And again, you can look at CrowdSec's documentation. It's very good as to what all those terms mean. It can be daunting at first to read all that documentation, which is one of the reasons why I'm talking about it very briefly in this video, and I'm telling you with relative confidence that if you just leave it on defaults, it will handle pretty much anything you would need it to do on the router. You can really go into, with CrowdSec, having it block things for your reverse proxy or anything that's internet exposed to the internet. It is a fantastic tool for that, but that's not the scope of this video. All right, so moving on, the next part that I want to go through is setting up auto backup. One of the great things about Netgate, which is the company that provides pfSense, is they have I'm going to call it a cloud backup, but a automated backup of anyone who uses pfSense, whether it's the Community Edition or the Enterprise Edition. The problem I have with it is they don't turn it on automatically. I don't know why, but I believe they definitely should. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Services. And we're going to go to Auto Backup. Okay. And then we're going to turn on Enable ACB. And the frequency, we like to leave it at automatically backup on every change. Automatic backup only saves 100 changes. Okay. And for most people, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and put a password on here. I'm not going to tell you what that is. And then an identifier. I don't know. I'm going to call it YouTube. And then manual backups. So this is if you tell it to make a backup. So if you come here and you do a backup now, how many of those it should keep? So again, you're only given 100 backups with this edition of it. And that's more than enough for most people. I tend to do about 10 backups, which I call my golden backups, so to speak. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. Oh, I didn't write the same password. Apparently I can't type today. And we'll let that finish. Okay, so if I go ahead and click on backup, this would be considered one of the manual backups. This device ID is very important. So if you end up having to restore this on this machine or on another machine, you'd have to copy this file, or this you'll need to make sure that this device ID matches. I'm going to be more or less destroying this and restoring it, so doesn't really matter for me, but for you guys, definitely keep that. And then I'm going to do backup, or before that I'm going to do golden version only version YouTube version video 2. I'm going to click on backup. There we go. So if I click on restore here, so it has the 2 backups. It's the one that it did when I did the changes. And this is the one that I would have done as of right now. Okay. There's that device key again. If I needed to restore from another machine, if I was moving things over, that's the device key that you saw here. That's the one you put here. Okay. So I'm going to leave that as is. And the next thing that I want to do is turn on HTTPS. Okay. Again, I don't know why it defaults to HTTP in this day and age, but okay. I'm sure that people much wiser than I have decided that. I'm going to go ahead and click on System Advanced. It's right here at the top here. Change it to HTTPS. You can leave the defaults. I'm not doing a Let's Encrypt certificate just because this is on a dynamic IP on the internet. So this IP will be changing. And then go ahead and click on Save. If you did Let's Encrypt, then you would see you could definitely create a signed certificate for it. So now let's do HTTPS. Okay, so now we can log in through HTTPS. Okay. And then the other thing that we strongly suggest, and this will become more important as we go through the video series, is your Outbound NAT. All right, let's go ahead and firewall. We're going to go to NAT, Outbound. And the reason why I'm saying an Outbound NAT, and this may or may not apply to you as we go through the video series, we had one client, for example, who decided to purchase an IP address specifically for their email server because it had a cleaner reputation. So they assigned it to their pfSense. So we had to route all of their SMPT SMTP traffic through that specific IP address. And that was only done because we did a hybrid outbound NAT. So it does automatic NAT generation, and it also allowed us to manually create one where one server would have its traffic go out of one IP address. In this case, that was that email server. So this is one of the reasons why we decided to do that. In our case, we're not going to have more than one IP on here. We may do some other rules on here to demonstrate it. We will see if we can fit that into the video series. But this is important for that, having that option available to you, along with having the automatic NAT rules. Okay, so we did that. We click on save. That is, I don't know why it doesn't go to the hybrid. I think that's actually more robust than just automatic. And then the last thing that we suggest that you do is change the DNS for the system, instead of just using whatever your ISP has. So again, we're going to go to System, General Setup, and under DNS. See, I already added these. It's just out of sheer habit at this point. Now, which ones we suggest? You saw in the beginning of the video there. Let me just get rid of this for a second. We highly suggest, the Cloudflare, which is these ones down here, and the other ones that we like are OpenDNS. I know you can do Google DNS, and that works just fine as well. Don't ask me why I don't like going with Google DNS. I figure they already have an eye on everything else I do. I'd rather not give them that as well. Cloudflare. Let me just change my screen here again. There we go. Cloudflare has made it a mission statement. They've stated that they will not be tracking, and OpenDNS is by far one of the most reliable. I think 100% uptime since 2006, if memory serves me correct. Which is why I highly encourage those four. So whenever we deploy a system out there, we will use Cloudflare and OpenDNS as a backup. And we also do not check off this option. It's by default it's not, but if you did, we would encourage you not to. Because if you do this, then your internet provider's DNS servers will be the ones that will use instead of these. And based on our testing and based on what we've seen, OpenDNS is usually faster and it's usually a little more stable. OpenDNS, like I said, is very stable, and that's why we go with those. I'm just going to go ahead and click on save here. And we'll let that save, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, these are some of the best practices that we go through. It's kind of like a cookie cutter for us at this point whenever we do this on pfSense. We find that these are a good starting off point. And in the upcoming videos in our series, let me just bring up the document one more time. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. So in the following video, we're going to be setting up a DNS server. And you'll see as the video series goes along why this is very important. This DNS server will actually be hosting serving DNS queries out to the internet, and it will also be serving internally. The reason why that's important is as we start setting up our email servers and our reverse proxies, different machines off the internet are going to be resolving our DNS server, which is pretty cool when you think about it. And you'll see us put in our own DNS entries. So something very cool to look forward to. You'll see how we try to mitigate security issues with our own DNS server. And yeah, so stay tuned, and I guess we'll move forward soon on that. All right, thank you very much, and have yourselves a good day. Bye.